Food. What is more important than the food that we feed to our family, our loved ones, and ourselves? After all, we are what we eat. But how do we determine safe, nutritious, and environmentally friendly options for our food? You may have heard that organic food is the clear choice. However, responsible choices require more evidence for their claims than the organic market has provided. Today, I'd like to examine the claims that organic food is safer, more nutritious, and more environmentally sustainable, in an effort to show you that organic is not the clear choice, and is in fact in many cases a worse choice than conventionally produced food. So let's begin with a brief overview of the USDA organic label. According to the USDA website, the goal of the National Organic Program is to promote the cycling of on-farm resources, ecological balance, and biodiversity. But why do people actually buy organic food? Surveys show that nearly 70% of people who buy organic food do so because they believe it to be more nutritious. Over half do so because they believe it to be safer or better for the environment. Now, how do these claims hold up to the evidence? Let's consider safety and pesticides. There's a myth that organic farmers don't use pesticides. The truth is, all farmers use pesticides. There's simply no way, outside of genetic modification, to prevent insects and weeds from destroying your crops without applying chemicals. Now, the chemicals used by organic farmers are intended to be derived from natural sources. We should all be familiar with the naturalistic fallacy. The faulty premise that simply because something is natural, it's better or safer. So the USDA maintains a list of approved chemicals for the use of organic farming, which includes things like sulfur dioxide, borax, and rotenone. And rotenone requires some special attention. It is an organic pesticide that is derived from the roots of many subtropical plants and has been shown to be as toxic as many synthetic pesticides and has been linked to Parkinson's-like symptoms. In addition to that, it's also been shown to be 70% less effective than its synthetic counterparts, which requires 3 times as many applications onto crops. The fact of the matter is, pesticides are chemicals that are designed to kill things, and their use on crops is a reasonable concern, but there's no scientific evidence to suggest that organic pesticides are any safer than synthetic ones. Now, speaking of synthetic ones, there are at least 61 other synthetic chemicals on the national list of approved chemicals for organic farming. That's simply where I stopped counting. Now you may be thinking, okay, organic's still better because it's more nutritious. And there is a hypothesis that the lack of pesticide use creates a hardy, more resilient, and more nutritious crop. But with what we now know about organic pesticide use, the theory falls a bit flat. But still, these claims can persist without any scientific evidence to back them up. In fact, a recent review published in the American Journal for Clinical Nutrition examined over 240 scholarly articles published in the last 50 years and found no nutrition-related health benefit outcomes different between organic and synthetic or conventionally produced foods. Another review published in the same journal inspected the chemical differences between conventional and organic food and found no nutritional difference. Perhaps you're more concerned, as you should be, with the environmental impact of agriculture. And it's admirable to consider the impact of your dietary choices. However, extra scrutiny is required to ensure that these opinions and choices are backed by evidence and likely to cause the most good. Let's consider the fact that organic farming typically yields 20% less than conventional crops. We already have cleared 30% of the earth for agriculture. If we continue to produce more food at a lower volume, lower yield, we need more resources. We need more land, more water. Now, where does this extra land come from? More rainforests destroyed, more wetlands drained. Let's consider pesticides again. We already discussed rotenone in regards to its toxicity and reduced effectiveness. But it also means with 3 times as many applications, we get 3 times the emissions from agricultural equipment applying the chemical. In addition to this, rotenone is incredibly toxic to fish, and the increased applications pose a significant risk of contamination to streams and rivers from farm runoff. Now, to recap, we've discussed that there is no nutritional difference between organic and conventional food. We also have lower yields, increased applications of less effective pesticides with an increased environmental impact. And on top of all of this, you're paying 3 times as much for organic food. Because of this, I urge you to avoid organic produce and instead embrace the many scientific advances in the fields of conventionally produced foods, where we are creating foods that are more nutritious, that require less and sometimes no pesticides, and use less water and less land. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems to me that the organic industry is just the latest in a long line of snake oil salesmen who are attempting to benefit from our good-natured efforts to make responsible choices. And if you spend more money on your food, you deserve to get more for it. With organic, you may actually be getting less. Thank you.
We have a question section.
Yeah,
Question and answer?
and